And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at Cat in the Box. This is a quantum trick-taking game, Schrodinger's cat, and I love trick-taking games. However, because I love trick-taking games, I'm stricter on them than many other games because there's so many trick-taking games, and there's many okay ones or complex ones. The shtick of Cat in the Box is all the cards are whatever color you want them to be. Sort of. Let me show you. When playing this game, it's going to be set up slightly different based on the number of players. Even this board here, the cards can be placed in different ways as to form a different grid. There's a purple grid and a white grid. The white grid is more of a rectangular shape, while you can see this one's a bit offset. So I have it set up here for a 5-player game, so I'm also covering up the 9s, and this matters because in this deck you're going to have 1 through 8 in a 4-player game. In a 5-player game it'd be 1 through 9 5 times. Now all the cards are black, but also all the cards are whatever color you want them to be. You're going to shuffle the cards and deal them out evenly to the players based on what numbers are in the game. Then each player is going to look at their cards. They're going to discard a card from their hand face down, so one card's out. Then you're going to play a series of tricks, except for the one of the cards in your hand. So you're going to play all the cards that you get dealt except 2. One you throw out at the beginning, and one you keep at the end. Although it is always possible that the round will end from a paradox. Now, once everyone gets all their cards, you're then going to predict how many tricks you're going to win in turn order. So I might be like, I'm going to win 2 tricks. Now, the number of tricks that you pick is going to be based on the number of players. In a 4 to 5 player game, you pick 1, 2, or 3. In a 2 to 3 player game, you're going to pick 1, 3, or 4. So you're going to pick those number of tricks. Then, one player, the starting player, will lead off. Now, when you play a card from your hand, you're going to say what color it is. So I might say, hey, this is 6 green. I'll place it here at the bottom to show everyone that it's a 6 green. I'm going to put one of my tokens here on the board to show that the 6 green has been played. So the next player can also play a 6 green. And in fact, the next player, everyone who follows the person who goes first, must play the same color. So here, a 3 green. And the next player is like, I'm going to play a 2 green. So they would put this token here, and the next player might play an 8 green. Now the highest person who played the color that was led is the winner, and they win the trick. They'll take all the cards that were played. Now let's say you don't want to play green. You don't have to. On your turn, I could say, let's say this player says, I'm going to play the 8 yellow. So they put this on this. I'm like, I don't want to play yellow. I want to play red. I'm playing the 6 red. Now, if you do that, you are essentially telling everyone, I don't have any more yellow. So you take this token off, and there's an X now in yellow, and this shows I can't play yellow for the rest of this round. So you have to be careful when doing that. You can do it anytime you want. Now, red is the trump color, which means if red is played in a trick, then the highest red card wins the trick, not the highest card of the trick that's led. But red can never start a trick until there's at least 1 token in the red line. And so when red is broken, essentially, then it can be led. You're going to keep doing this until one of 2 things happens. Everyone plays all their cards except 1. Great, the round's over. Or if someone can't play any of their cards, because let's say I have the only cards left in my hand are 3s and 4s, and all the 3s and 4s on the board have tokens on them. So if that's the case, I can't play any of my cards, and I cause a paradox, and the round instantly ends. Now, if the round ends due to a paradox, everyone's going to get 1 point for each trick they took, except the person who caused it. They lose 1 point for each trick that they took. If it ends normally, everyone just gets 1 point for each trick that they took. But then you're going to look at your predictions. If your prediction's correct, so let's say I said I'm going to take 2 tricks, and I did take 2 tricks, then I'm going to look at the board to see the biggest group of my tokens that are connected together orthogonally. In this case here, I have 3. So that's 3 bonus points I get. You only get those bonus points if you collect the number of tricks that you said you did. Then you start another round. You reshuffle the cards, take all the tokens off the board, reset everything, play again, and then After a round's equal to the number of players, whoever has the most points is the winner. Component-wise, it's fine. This board here, when you point these cards out, you want to be careful because you can nick them when you put the cards in, depending on which side you're playing. But once the cards are in, it's fine, and you can leave the cards in from game to game. These little tokens that you have, these are cute little tokens that have like a screen printing on one side. They're easy to tell apart because they have different shapes and different symbols on them, although these two are a little similar in color, because I almost wish that I shouldn't say almost, I do wish they weren't clear, because when you put them on the board, because they're clear, the background colors come through, and sometimes that makes them look a little more similar and harder to see when you're looking for yours. This would have been, I think, opaque discs would have probably worked better. The game also comes with these cards, which allows you to say I'm playing a blue, a green, a yellow, or trump red, but I found that having this little board in front of you and just putting them on that side works as well too. It also comes with a card for the start player. The cards themselves just show pictures of cats in various positions. It's pretty simple. Everything fits in a small box. It's fine components, although I will say you can see I sleeved everything. Card quality is okay, and in a trick-taking game I cannot deal with okay quality. I need high quality or sleeving them. I'm going to just start out by saying I love Cat in a Box. It is one of my favorite trick-taking games I've played in a long time. It's such a fascinating game. So there's a couple facets to it. One is predicting the number of tricks you'll take. That's interesting. There's a lot of games that do that. That's not the main, neat thing about this one. What's neat about Cat in a Box is you can say what colors you have in your hand, but only within reason. So you have to sit there and say, it's funny, normally in a trick-taking game, you're like, I got 3 blues, 4 greens, 2 yellows, and 3 reds, or whatever. Okay, great. So I'm kind of a spread across. I have 6 reds and no blue. When you draw your opening hand, it's any of those. I got 6 reds and no blue. I mean, you can say that. You could even say on turn 1, someone plays blue, like, oh man, I don't have any blue. You say that. You do have blue, but you can say you have no blue, but then the game holds you accountable for that. And so it's as if every card, as soon as you say this is a red 5, it becomes a red 5. That's a cool concept. I love that. Because you're thinking around, if you have a lot of cards of the same number, you're thinking carefully about, hey, I don't want to be stuck in a paradox with these. Because I will say the majority of hands I've seen played of this do end in a paradox. Not always. And you could say, well, we're good trick-taking players. It doesn't matter. You can still get stuck with cards based on what everyone else plays. And a paradox, you're like, so there's not a lot of points being scored in this game. But then you can also get caught up, as I often do, playing tricks, playing cards, deliberately build this big giant, I have 6 next to each other in the middle. And then 2 things will happen. 1, I need to predict the number of tricks. 2, don't have a paradox, because if you have a paradox, you don't get those bonus points. So you can get caught up in that, and that happens to me a lot. I like it. It's very a fascinating little game. It plays well. It scales well between multiple players. The weirdness of it, of saying I don't have any red and getting rid of that, is only weird for a bit. After that, it becomes second nature. Because I don't want trick-taking games to be too nebulous, too, whoa, what's going on? I want to be straightforward and offer something different. Like I said, one of the best trick-taking games I've played in a while. In fact, I would even say the best, except the Crew exists. But taking the Crew out of the equation, Cat in a Box is the best trick-taking game I've played in the last several years. It's fantastic. I played this many times because I just keep coming back to it. I like it. It sounds interesting. It's fun to play. It's easy to teach. I mean, if you don't know trick-taking games, there's some extra layer of teaching there, but that's true with pretty much every trick-taking game. It almost has a feel of area control in the middle, but a lot of cool options. So definitely one you should check out. Cat in a Box. I'm Tom Vasel, and Schrodinger's cat is alive. Dice Tower Judgment. Excellent.